I like the lights when they hit your face.
My name's David Wilson and this is the making of Nokia Freedom. In this film we wanted to launch the new Nokia N8 Pink by celebrating the world of hot pink and the whole glitz and glamour that goes with it. We did this by creating the most fantastical pink themed environment for our dolls with the Nokia N8. Creatively, working in doll size meant that the world was our oyster. Video walls that would in real size be the equivalent of a 4-storey building were created out of a bank of pink N8s. And a giant pink deer soaring above the clouds was achieved with a metre-high ceramic sculpture. What was fantastic was that everything we could was achieved physically to make this surreal pop event.
Too good is blind, it blackens out your gaze.
A pop promo just felt really right because it was kind of in the world, but you could create a world that was pink, and pop videos are kind of rife with product placement these days, so it didn't feel like an odd fit. And that's what was great about working with David, is that he really did treat this like a pop video, and he treated the doll like a pop star.
She had her own stylist, Anna Trevelyan, she had her own hairdresser, and she had her own choreography team.
Being able to work with the Sugar Babes' Freedom as the soundtrack to the piece lent itself to the empowered personas that we had created for the dolls.
We're on fire, but I'm too caught in you.
Of course, we're working to 5th scale on this, but even in that respect you have to scale down fabrics, you have to scale down details, stitch length, everything. And even these jeans, for example, you can't get this sort of delicacy of movement with denim, so this is a scaled stretched cotton. So, but again, the details are all the same, so you've got the pockets and the fly and the top stitching, but all tiny.
Once the dolls were suited and booted, we embarked on the task of giving them human-like movement. Before we even got on set, we went down to Pineapple Dance Studios for a rehearsal session with choreographer David Layton. I felt the moves needed to be planned out and rehearsed to create a flowing end product. Of course, the limitations of the doll's physical versatility played a massive role in the moves that we're able to achieve, sometimes giving us more than a human in the case of a 180-degree head spin, and other times in mechanical restrictions.
3, 2, 1, kick. Working with 3 puppeteers can be quite tricky because you're 3 different people trying to make movements of one character. Rigging up the heads, we had to pop the heads off the dolls and sort of shove a rod up through the head and then stick it back on. So that would often, Charlie would do the hair and then I'd have to sort of stick a big rod out of it, and that would often mess up his hair, so he'd have to do the hair again.
Basically, David contacted me because I'm a specialist in like doing big hair, and I make clothes of hair and big wigs and huge things like this. And I think it was a really fun challenge to make all those things in like a much smaller scale. Maybe where it's more difficult is that they only have synthetic hair, those ones, and I use only human hair. So I have to make them like fake wigs and real hair extension and things like this. Obviously I usually work on humans or animals. So it's not that different because I do wigs for cats and dogs sometimes. Doing wigs for dolls like this is great as well. I think it's fun.
Well, this is the Nokia N8. So from this phone we made a tiny one for our bra top.
Tip lasers, tip lasers, tip lasers, bam!
And then we made a much larger one for the phone that she lies in.
It really was a fantastic meeting of minds to get this film into reality. The piece should really feel like a snippet of the most fantastical pop promo, with the pink N8s creating some of the most bizarre product placements ever seen. So this was the world that we created, from hand-tattooed ladies to 36 high-kicking dismembered doll legs. So I hope this gives you a little idea of the love and attention that went into this film, and I hope you enjoy the end result.